Hey everybody, guess what? Steph, we're here, aren't we?
We are here on a very blistering
It's
day.
a windy day, so if you hear wind and birds, that's hurricane outside.
Yeah, but we're here. We're still here giving the review.
And guess what? Guess what we're reviewing today, Steph?
What are we reviewing today?
I don't know. I'm asking
Conjuring?
you. Conjuring. Oh, okay. It was bad.
We've already done that.
We're doing In the Heights.
We are,
In the
yeah.
Heights. No. I'm not going to sing it, but look, let's just get straight into it. Steph, what were your overall thoughts of In the Heights?
I loved. That's probably an understatement to say that I loved In the Heights. We're Hamilton stands here.
Yeah,
we
like
are
Hamilton.
trash. We're Hamil trash. We love it.
Hamil poo.
But I was apprehensive about seeing In the Heights because it's a film adaptation. You know, they were changing the cast. They were embedding it in like it wasn't a set. It wasn't a stage recording like Hamilton. Yeah. So yeah, I was cautiously optimistic about it, but apprehensive nonetheless. And it all just paid off. I loved it so much. I think they did such a good job with it.
Yeah, my favorite thing. I really, really enjoyed the film. I think that the director crafted some visually stunning and exciting musical sequences.
It's a really colourful movie, isn't it? Like it has to be when you're dealing with like a Latin community. Everything about it is colourful.
And I thought the musical sequences were very creative. You know, there's scenes where people are like walking across buildings, and you know, there's some they work some 2D animation into some of them. There
was a lot of sort of unique creativity there with like you said, they were sort of mishmashing animation into like the real world, and then they had people doing sort of things that defied gravity. Yeah, it was kind of magical.
It all worked. It was
in
extremely magical. He crafted some beautiful magical sequences around some fantastic music.
I think it's quite interesting in a similar way to La La Land. Yeah, I know you're not a huge fan of La La Land, but in a similar way that you're using like magical techniques to show in a neighborhood where maybe everyone has a dream, but not everyone, you know, the place itself isn't magical from a first glance, but it's the people in it and it's the dreams that they have that make the place magical. In a similar way, I think In the Heights did that really well. So, you know, it's the people in the community of Washington Heights that made the place magical. And so they were embedding like what it would just generally from an offset be like a really overlooked Latin community in a lower socioeconomic block. They managed to find the magic and the wonder in that, which I think was portrayed really well on the screen by John M. Chu and everyone in it.
Yeah, director of Crazy Rich Asians, G.I. Joe Retaliation.
Right.
It's come a long way.
I haven't seen that one. I've not seen that one.
No, but like I said, I mean, I loved Crazy Rich Asians, and I really, really enjoyed this movie.
Yeah. What did you give it out of 5?
4.5.
I gave it 5 out of 5. Look, I'm still quite high on the euphoria from the movie. Maybe I'd round it down in the end to a 4.5.
I think my only issue with the film is that I think there's a period towards the beginning of the third act where it does slow a bit. The pacing does go a bit off. It's a bit awry.
It's 2 hours and 25 minutes, and there are a lot of loose ends to tie up with the film because we're following quite a few. We have our main protagonists, but they've all got their own sort of separate stories. Usnavi. Yeah. We've got Usnavi. But I would say there are other protagonists too. Usnavi is the main protagonist.
Benny, Nina,
Sunny, Nina.
Vanessa,
that's right.
And Vanessa's dad.
Yeah. What's his name?
I can't remember.
Rosario, Mr. Rosario.
Yeah.
Whatever. Abuela, you've got them all.
Yeah.
So
and they all of the actors in the film knock it out of the park. There's not a single weak performance in the film, and they all carry the big moments they need to, and they all nail the singing.
Oh, I thought they all nailed the singing too. Like I said, I love Lin-Manuel Miranda. I think he's a lyrical and a creative genius. Most of this is pretty much coming verbatim from my written review that I wrote, but I think that Anthony Ramos's portrayal of Usnavi probably better than Lin-Manuel Miranda's.
Well, I've never watched or listened to the whole soundtrack all the way through.
Well,
so
on the way home, we did listen to the original.
Yeah.
I just feel like Anthony Ramos brought like a boyish charm to the role of Usnavi, and he is like a young guy.
We did listen to a few of the songs, you're right, and I felt that these versions of the songs had brought more of a urban hip hop vibe to
they did
to
for
the songs.
I think they're a lot grander, the scale of them as well, in terms of they were more music depth. I don't know too much about how music works, but it just seemed on a bigger scale than which is pretty big for like a Broadway, like to be adapting from a Broadway show.
Yeah, and if you're a Hamilton fan, you'll get your references and your fan service.
Yeah,
for
there
that.
are a couple
There's a couple of nods.
Yeah.
To that, very fun.
I was just going to say, with regards to the pacing, I felt like with any sort of musical, the Hamilton adaptation, for instance, just a stage adaptation, goes for 2.5 hours ish, has that intermission in the middle. And I would be an advocate for any movie over the length of 2.5 hours to have an intermission, or coming up to 2.5 hours to have an intermission.
Yeah.
But I would say the only reason I'd want that intermission wouldn't be to stretch or to have a breather or whatever. It would only be because I didn't want to miss any more of that movie. Yeah. I just wanted to keep watching. I enjoyed it all. I was like, I don't have to go to the bathroom.
There wasn't a moment in the film where I went, like, I did feel the length. I will say that. That's the only, like we mentioned, touched on before. I felt the length, but I was never bored.
I felt the length maybe towards the very end. Like, we're talking the last 10, 15 minutes. I probably felt the length.
Yeah.
But I don't think it was a matter of me being like, I just want this to be over. I would have been happy for another 15, 10 minutes added on to the end of the movie. Okay. Like, I would have been happy. I would like to see more about what happened with Benny. I would like to see more about what happened with
That was
Sonny.
my thing. They didn't really wrap up some stories perfectly. But when you've got already pushing 2.5 hours, you're dealing with a lot of characters.
You have to prioritize.
And I think about 90% of them get their things fully wrapped up.
Yeah, I would say even 100% of them have a general, you can
idea.
Probably figure out exactly what's happened with them. But then we get a clearer idea for the main protagonist.
Especially at the end, yes.
Yeah. So yeah, I would say that I quite liked the length. I'm happy that they didn't cut anything out. I do think they cut out a couple of songs from the original soundtrack though. I might be wrong, but I think they did. And if they did, then I would say that that's probably a good choice on their behalf.
Yeah. And all the songs were great. There wasn't a song in the film that I felt was bad. Or like, I went, oh, we're doing this now. Or like,
yeah. Sometimes they all have their, like, their one song. What's that one in The Lion King that you mentioned? That Beyonce song.
Oh, The Spirit. They added that for the film, though.
Yeah, see, that sort of stuff, though. Like, if they'd done something like that, I would have been a little disappointed. I'm happy that they kept it's all, like, straight from the musical. Maybe cut a bit out, but that's because they had to, obviously, include dialogue, and they had to make this into a film. Obviously, it's going to run longer than a Broadway musical.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. Overall, I did. I had a lot. I will be going back to see it in theaters.
I think I am, too, actually. I'm taking Mum.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a great one to see with people. And it had humour in it.
It's just infectious. I was beaming from ear to ear for most of the movie, unless it wanted me to feel sad, in which case I was sad. But when I was feeling just content, it was infectious. Yeah. It was just, I wanted to dance. If they said to us to dance in the cinema,
if
we were the only ones in there, I would have. But I have a little too much dignity to be doing it in a packed cinema. Yeah,
so just giving our final thoughts, I thought it was an extremely fun film that maybe only suffered for a little bit, the tiniest amount of pacing issues. Other than that, I had such a great time with the film. I thought it was extremely enjoyable. The acting was great. The music was great. The direction was great. And like I said before, I give it 4.5 out of 5.
Yeah, and that's a 9 out of 10. That's a really high score. I would say that if we were nitpicking, then I would say pacing is probably the one thing. But I don't think that the pacing issue for me was enough to bring down my score by half a star. I wouldn't say perfect film, maybe not perfect, but as close to a 5 out of 5 as I could give anything. I just had so much fun with the movie. I loved it. It was just, I just felt happy. It made me feel really happy, and I left the film feeling really positive, which, I didn't feel tired or stressed out or bored or anything by the 2.5 hour mark. So I think that's a credit to the film.
So 5 out of 5?
Yep, 5 out of 5.
Beautiful. Thank you, everyone, for watching our In the Heights review. Be sure to check it out, coming out in theatres in Australia on June 24th and coming out on HBO Max June 11th. So this Friday for all you Americans.
Oh, okay.
So,
thanks for that.
No problem.
I didn't know that. I'm genuine. I'm not faking surprise. I had no idea.
Thank you, everyone, for watching. And as always, I'm Alex.
I'm Steph.
And we're out of here.